summer break ends and kids go back to school. Otherwise, I would have worn that, and I'll start wearing it for future live streams. They absolutely work really, really well. Looking forward to doing that. I look forward to getting a picture of you wearing that at your presentation, and please send it to me. So I will absolutely give you a free year's membership. It goes for shirts and hats. So if you log in, get a picture of any of your TUG attire while you're on vacation, take a picture, and then I will extend your membership to cover basically the cost of you buying it. And we certainly appreciate anyone who goes out of their way to spread the word of TUG while they're on vacation. So I'm sure, yeah, absolutely. I'm getting used to the Streamline or StreamYard thing. I like the fact that I can show the comments on the screen. That's super awesome, and I love you guys to be a little bit more interactive. 3 subs is cool. More than half of my music channel. Hey, I will say that getting 3,000 subs, I'm sure part of it is because I give away so many TUG memberships. But hey, if more people are watching this, it doesn't really cost me anything to give away free memberships because those people contribute back to the community. I tend to, anyone who's willing to support TUG and or promote TUG on social media or just mention it to their friends is absolutely worth it to me to compliment, give them a complimentary membership as thanks for doing that, because there's absolutely no, move this down a little bit. There's no advertising or marketing or any sort of promotion I can buy that is better than the word of mouth from another timeshare owner. So I truly appreciate, and I'm very humbled by everyone who loves TUG and shares TUG with the other timeshare owners that they run across, both on social media as well as when you're in person on vacation, like apparently Happy Ron is in Margaritaville in Lake Tahoe. Wow, that sounds like a nice vacation to have. I have to say I've not stayed any of the those Wyndham / Margaritaville vacation clubs that have come up, but they seem to be extremely popular, as almost as popular as they are hard to reserve. From what I hear, it seems to be a rather interesting process for reserving, getting a week there, since it's not something you can normally do. And Pinestead Reef, Traverse City, fantastic. I hope you guys are having a wonderful vacation at your timeshare. As I mentioned last week, I was at Club Wyndham Ocean Walk. Took my kids there for a week at the beach just before they started school. Actually, a week before last. Their week back of school. First week was last week, and so we have been. That's been a challenge. I finally have both my kids in the same school, so it's super awesome and super convenient to be able to pick up and drop off at the same school moving forward. And so we're looking forward to week 2. One starting kindergarten, the other starting 2nd grade. So I'm truly blessed and super excited that they're excited, still excited to wake up every morning and go to school. So I don't know how long that'll last. I don't remember when I stopped not liking going to school, but we will see how it goes. So moving into the chit chat and the stuff that we've talked about. I will say one more thing to mention, that if any of you guys, it looks like most of you guys are long-term TUG members, and I certainly appreciate. I'm thinking that our viewership is a bit down tonight because I screwed up again the live stream. And so hopefully people will see that link and be able to come find us here. But as we're waiting, we'll go there. Personal assistance, I'm doing that the entire stream. So if anyone has a question, anyone chimes in, you have a question about your timeshare, I'm offering that. I will answer any and all questions throughout the stream until we get done. I think this is fun to hang out and chit chat on a Sunday night before football season starts. And so probably a lot less people interested in looking at me and talking about timeshares when the Sunday night football game's on. Also, for those of you that stick around, I 100% plan on giving away some free memberships at the end. So for those of you who stick it out and have that, I'm going to give out 1 or 2 or 3. We'll see how many people are staying online and give out some free memberships. Is again, thanks for putting up with me, and it should be penance for you guys having to stare at me and listen to me talk for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour, how long this lasts. I'm happy to reward you for those of you who stick it out. So, biggest talk of the week is hopefully all of you saw it, is the new newsletter. We recently were informed by our existing newsletter software that they were shutting down, and gave us till the end of the month to find a new software to use, which is not much time, unfortunately, but it is what it is. It wasn't a grace period. They didn't have any, didn't sell their business out to anyone. They were literally just shutting their doors. So unfortunately, it was a bit of a scramble over the past couple weeks for me to try to find a new newsletter software that would work for our needs. And we do have many thousands of subscribers. So finding something that would is reasonable and has the features and functionality to handle that kind of load, which is way more expensive than I thought it would be. So I tend to take for granted the Mad Mimi software that we used for so many years and satisfied and did everything we wanted it to. And looks like we got a couple more people on. Thank you so much for joining. Hope you like the shirt. Hope you like the hat. And hope you like the content, since we are chatting about timeshares. But yeah, so we've chosen MailChimp, which was certainly not the cheapest. Honestly, I think I mentioned to someone else, it costs more per month for the newsletter software than it costs to run both TUG servers combined, which is absolutely mind-blowing. But there are some really cool features in the Mad Mimi software that, or excuse me, in the MailChimp software that hopefully we can learn to exploit over the years to make deliverability a bit better, and certainly much nicer format. I think it looks good. I think it's much easier to read, and the feedback has been the same. So I truly hope that the newsletters become more popular as they go forward, because they're just much easier to read on the phone, mobile devices, as well as desktops. Nice, big, clean font, and it's not something you have to struggle to see. I personally think it looks better. And again, all the feedback I've gotten so far has said the same. So, but if you do like it and you have any suggestions or things that aren't working, please let me know. I will continue to tweak that. And as I attempt to leverage many of the new utilities, reporting tools, and deliverability tools that MailChimp provides, that our previous software didn't. So we'll try and get our money's worth out of that to use that. And so our next topic coming up is going on the forums. A couple things to announce on the forum. So we just hit 123,000 registered users, which is again, TUG continues to grow. The same pace for years. Almost 500 people a month find the forums, register on the forums. I'm sure many more find it and don't register, but registrations, again, 1,000 every other month. And that's been pretty steady and solid, which is truly incredible when I think about it, is how many people are just finding this. We don't advertise the forums anywhere, and thus, people are finding it through Google, just typing in searches, how do I get information about my Bluegreen timeshare or Westgate timeshare? And, we see so many people just finding that and then registering and looking for, hey, I just bought this, is a good idea, or hey, I got a few days to rescind, or just looking for help for something they already own. And truly, this community is a very unique place that allows owners to get that help and advice completely free. Owners sharing that it's not something I've seen anywhere else on the internet, especially certainly not going on 30 years, which is a milestone in itself. So we look forward to the forums continue to grow, and as each and every owner that joins just makes this community a little bit better place. The other news from the forums is Bluegreen Forum finally got a promotion. They have now reached 500 individual threads on the Bluegreen Forum, and thus they have been promoted to top tier forum status. And now they've always had their own individual sub forum, but now they show up with everyone else as that topic has become popular enough that it can now be hosted with all the big boys like the Marriotts and the Hiltons and such. And it looked like Holiday Inn Club was very, very close behind, just about 20 or 25 individual threads away from getting their promotion as well. And we're currently looking for suggestions and or voting for what to replace Bluegreen with, meaning what forum do we want to include next in the all other timeshare systems. There's still some out there of the smaller branded systems, or some of the larger ones that just don't have a whole lot of topics on TUG, but hey, maybe they don't have a lot of topics because they don't have their own forum. So we're always happy to improve the forums to make the information collection and gathering and finding easier for any timeshare owner looking for it. Moving on to the next item, over the course of I don't know, we haven't had a live stream in almost 2 months. So I just picked a selection of rather interesting topics that have come up over the past few months that we're going to chit chat about. And for those of you who didn't see, going back to, I mentioned I stayed at Wyndham Ocean Walk a couple weeks ago and had a very interesting check-in. To recap the story in the 5-cent version was we arrived a day late due to Hurricane Debbie. It delayed our travel by 1 day. And we checked in the next day, and they told us our room wasn't available, which was super bizarre since we should have been there the day before. But after a quick sorting of that out, they found a room for us to to stay in. I don't think it was the original room, but either way, that's a very, very large resort. And it was a Tuesday. So thankfully they were able to find something for us, but sent me over to the concierge desk, I think is what they call it, to quote unquote schedule my timeshare presentation. And I was then told that there were no sales presentation slots available for the entire week. This has actually blew my mind. I know how large that resort is. I know how many sales folks are on site. I've seen, and throughout the week, I saw how many people were funneled through that concierge desk and then those sales offices. And I have personally never heard of a resort telling an owner at check-in that there are no available owner update, whatever they happen to call it. I don't, they definitely didn't use the term sales presentation, but there were no available appointments for me for the entire week. And so, that was the easiest way that I have ever encountered in getting out of a sales presentation. The only downside is I wasn't going there for the gifts, and I actively tried to turn down the sales presentation, explaining who I was and why I didn't want to waste the time of the salesperson. But I also understood that, the concierge is, he's getting paid to schedule those presentations. And so he was very straightforward and very honest about the whole situation, but didn't give me the presents, didn't give me the gifts. He originally, told me that because of the issue with check-in and such, that they would double the gift he brings out the little sheet of all the presents that you can select, and the gift cards and the free, I think a cruise was one option, and a week stay and so on and so forth. But when it turned out they couldn't actually schedule any presentations, then he kind of pulled that card away from me and told me that since I couldn't go to any presentations, I didn't get any free gifts. So that was disappointing on one side, but happy on the other side that I didn't have to, to make an awkward situation more awkward. I would have wanted to record the presentation to publish on TUG just to show people. And I felt that there was probably no salesman in that office that would be willing to let that happen. So I didn't want to make an awkward situation, again, more awkward than it needed to be. And that was going to be my trump card. If I couldn't get out of the sales presentation and I truly had to go, I was going to, whip out my phone and put it on the desk, facing the guy and say, go right ahead. I'm just going to record this for conversation purposes or to analyze later, because I don't want to miss a thing, because I'm super excited about learning the Club Wyndham system. And I'm super excited to sit here about this and learn about this, what you're about to tell me. And I just want to make sure I don't misunderstand anything and I don't miss anything. And I had a feeling that had I gone that route, I probably would have politely been told to leave. So it is what it is, but the vacation was fantastic. We checked in, had a great time. It's beautiful room on the 18th floor. The weather was absolutely outstanding the whole week. I will say that we stayed on the beach and my kids played in the pool the entire week. I think we spent maybe 30 minutes the entire time on the beach at all. My kids just wanted to be at the pool. So for any of you who go to Wyndham Ocean Walk, you got small kids, the pool is 100% the place to be. They got a little kids area that my kids spent hours and hours in, and a nice little water slide that you can go up and down. So highly recommend that resort. Did submit a review for our stay, encompassing the issues we had checking in, as well as the details of the 2-bedroom unit or 1-bedroom lockout unit that we stayed at, as well as a video of that room. So if anyone who's considering going to Club Wyndham Ocean Walk, I highly suggest it 100%. It was a beautiful resort, and I would return there again in a heartbeat. One other topic that's come up recently, shifting gears here a little bit, was there was a mention, someone posted something called a SIRS report. And basically there were a lot of changes that many timeshare owners in Florida have been recently the information's kind of trickling down. If you haven't seen it, we talked about it a little bit on TUG, but there were some laws that changed after the tragic collapse of a condominium in South Florida. That that I don't want to say they're bad laws, because obviously their heart was in the right place, but no one really thought about the impact of making these laws and setting these deadlines and making these inflexible rules that are requiring almost all oceanfront or near ocean resorts to scramble to pay just absurd amounts of money to not only have inspections for their buildings, which again, that's not a bad thing, but the accelerated timeline at which all this needs to happen, and getting the reports and then having to fully fund the reserves to pay for these things. So when you're talking about, there was one person posted basically that report for a Hyatt resort here in Florida. And I think the roof alone was estimated at $1.7 million. Now I'm any resort worth its salt is going to budget for stuff like that over 20 or 30 years. But when you get you have to accelerate the process at which you not only have to do the inspections, you have to pay, and I'm sure these inspections are being the prices of these inspections have gone through the roof just for the fact that they're all mandated, and whoever's licensed inspectors know that these resorts have to accomplish these within a very, very short time, relatively speaking. And so getting these results and these homeowners associations and directors all having to essentially come up with plans at the drop of a hat to pay for these things as these reports come in, and it just highly accelerates something that they probably had a 5 or 10 or 20-year plan to collect reserves and slowly relying on increased maintenance fees and stuff to pay for a slow upgrade of the resort. And now these timelines have just been accelerated at such an incredible rate that many of these resorts are feeling the pinch. And I fully expect 2025 to be another year of significant maintenance fee increases, and special assessments are just going to be a thing. There's just no way for some of these resorts to be able to fully fund these reserves, as now is required by Florida law to pay for these repairs based on these reports. Again, I'm not saying that the repairs aren't necessary and that the reports aren't uncovering things that aren't need to be taken care of, but just the fact that it was accelerated on something that may have tried to fund over 5 years or 7 years or 10 years is now being accelerated to have being funded over 2 years, maybe even 3 years, to get these things taken care of. It puts especially independent resorts in a really big bind where they don't have huge pocketbooks to draw from, and the fact that they have to get these reports done and they have to find out and fully fund the reserve account to be able to pay for these things, instead of just kind of going on credit, for lack of a better term, and kind of playing fuzzy math with stuff and somewhat kicking the can down the road, but spreading out how much you can charge your owners to pay for these things over a much longer time span. And that's just been accelerated at a staggering rate because of these new laws and regulations. And I fully expect to see more of these things pop up and more of these resorts getting these reports in and just they're eye-opening at how much it costs to repair some of these larger resorts when you're talking about infrastructure items, not just slowly updating rooms or phases of the resort or painting or landscaping. All of those are relatively minor, but when you talk about seawalls and flood prevention and plumbing and foundation work that some of these resorts, even the nicer ones, could have been installed 30, 40, 50 years ago. And so these reports are uncovering maybe not anything that indicates that the resort is going to collapse in the next 10 years, but troubling things or stuff to keep an eye on that a resort may have previously chosen to defer down the road or start planning on finding funding for that or getting the reserves padded so that they can pay for that on down the road, and to now being forced to do that on a much more accelerated scale just because of these new laws and regulations that require that. It's going to be a very, very challenging next couple of years for Florida resorts. Florida oceanfront resorts are certainly going to see that more than anything else. So there's a really cool thread about that on the forums on both a Hyatt one and a Marriott one that both had very, very similar reports. Basically saying that, hey, because we have to fund these things, expect both maintenance fee increases and a possible special assessment, getting owners ready for the idea that this is coming down the pipe. And again, it's not that the homeowners associations didn't plan properly or didn't effectively manage the resort, but when you had something that you expected you could take care of over years and now have that compressed down to months in some cases is a really, really difficult situation. What do we got? Small independent resort in St. Augustine Beach passed inspections of flying colors and have very healthy reserves. That is fantastic. I absolutely love it when an owner can view their financial reports or view the report from the board and see that resort is well managed, that is taken care of. And that is one, unexpected, bonus for a small resort is, replacing the roof on something like that is probably a much cheaper alternative or much cheaper overall project than, say, replacing the roof on something like Ocean Walk, where there's 500 rooms, if not 1,000 rooms in that resort. I'm just guessing, so maybe less. But those things like that are independent resorts, it's both a pro and a con. You only have a much smaller collection of homeowners or owners at the resort that can contribute to those reserves and those funds, but the resort itself can be smaller, and thus those major repairs and stuff like that, especially if it's been maintained over its lifetime, can as you mentioned, pass with flying colors, and homeowners can expect to not see any sort of increases on that front. And I wish more resorts were like that, and maybe that's the case. I talk about it like every resort on the planet is in dire straits and is scrambling to take care of this, and that's certainly not the case. But when you see some of these mega resorts have to make these announcements to owners, it's certainly going to raise some eyebrows, and it's certainly going to scare some owners, and it's certainly going to price some owners out. As maintenance fees continue to rise, when you add special assessments for these things, and again, going back to it's not that these aren't needed. It's not that these are frivolous tasks that need to be accomplished to maintain the resort itself, but just the fact that in Florida that timeline to accomplish these and then has been just compressed at such a crazy level that you'll find many resorts are certainly going to struggle to find creative ways to pay for that. And at the end of the day, I'd be willing to bet that a large majority of the resorts in that situation are going to come down to a special assessment, because there's just no other way for an owner from a resort to come up with those funds. They just can't pull it out of thin air, and they don't print money. And, they're not really, the resort isn't making, 60-70% profit margin on an annual basis. All of the money coming in from maintenance fees is used to maintain the resort. And as delinquencies go up, as maintenance fees rise, that I think we're going to find that really the only solution that many of these resorts have will be a special assessment. So something we'll keep an eye on moving forward. I hope to see more of the reports, like Diane mentioned, that their resort is A-OK, and that they pass with flying colors, and the owners can expect no significant increase and can continue enjoying their vacations unburdened. I hate the fact that I just used that comment, but it is what it is. And it's another facet of that is some of these repairs are going to be extremely impactful on upcoming vacations. When you talk about having to do any sort of foundation work or stuff on the beach like that, or waterproofing or roofing or something like that, these projects are staggeringly large for some of these resorts. And so people staying there, it's not like they can just shut the resort down for a couple of weeks while they perform stuff like that. It's certainly going to impact people's vacations. So again, something we'll monitor on moving forward, but that is going to be a hot topic for the remainder of the year, especially going into 2025. And kind of a good segue into that. We had another topic on our smaller independent resorts in what's the word I'm looking for? Are they in worse shape than or more susceptible to things like this than larger resorts? And Diane made a great point that as a smaller resort, the bill isn't quite as high. But also as a smaller resort, you just don't have that huge pocketbook. You don't have that huge collection of owners to draw from. For example, a 3,000 room resort like Wyndham Bonnet Creek or something like that, just has a staggering number of owners that they can. Their actual budget is significantly higher, but the resort is also 10 or 20 times more expensive to maintain. So perhaps it all works out in the end, but certainly resorts that, for lack of a better term, haven't been as well maintained as the one like Diane mentioned, are going to feel the pinch. I just don't see any way around that a resort is going to able to just raise those kind of funds out of the blue. And I would think that many covenants, especially ones in Florida that were written probably in the 70s and the 80s, usually limit how much you can raise dues in a year. It's in most cases isn't part of your covenant. So for anyone who's curious as to how much your HOA can raise your dues every year, that's probably limited to a certain amount. I've seen 5% and 7% and 10%. And if it's not there, they can raise it as much as they want. But in most cases, there is a hard limit at which they are bound to not raise it higher without a vote from the association. And I don't know of any association everywhere that would, the majority of people would vote for an increase higher than what is allowed by the covenants. But, maybe it's happened somewhere. I would certainly like to read up on that if it did. But no, it's a great great thing to monitor is we see there are obviously healthy resorts like Diane's mentioned, and some that are just not so great, especially ones that have been damaged by the past couple hurricanes that go through. And not that they've been, I don't want to say they were minor hurricanes. There's really nothing minor about any hurricane that makes landfall. But the water and the flooding damage and a resort that, a mainstream resort probably has an exceptional insurance policy, where some of the smaller independent resorts, I don't know how many of you live in Florida, are familiar with homeowners insurance or property insurance, but that has just absolutely skyrocketed, even for regular people, not just resorts. So you're finding many resorts, shopping around for new property insurance and shopping around for new insurance total, and having to deal with a new policy that may not have the coverages of the previous one, or may not be quite the same customer service level or repair level that they've expected over the past 20 years from their previous provider that is pulled out of Florida and no longer insuring property like that. This is all just kind of like a snowball effect that is causing so many problems for resorts to struggle to not only pay for things, but to maintain insurance and get stuff taken care of. Trying to rebuild an entire resort or make some of those crazy repairs. I saw someone post the other day that they went to, I think it was Fort Myers, they went down to, and there are still resorts that haven't recovered from the hurricane or haven't been repaired. So getting people to actually do the work, even if you have the insurance payout, is just another challenge that smaller independent resorts will likely face versus a larger resort that someone's certainly going to take a job for a Marriott or a Wyndham than they would for maybe a small mom and pop resort or a small one or two bedroom resort that they have going on. So pros and cons to each, but one can't argue that the fact that you have a smaller resort with a limited number of owners, that any sort of unexpected significant increase in costs, whether it be insurance, whether it be repairs, whether it be this new issue in Florida that having to do all these reports and accelerate the repairs for the infrastructure itself, that's just going to put a larger strain on independent resorts that don't have those healthy reserves and healthy pool of owners that are paying annual maintenance fees. So prefer the independent resorts, at least the one that seems better managed, the ones that are big brands like Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton. Yeah, no question. I mean, if you own it in an independent resort, that the board members are all owners, that's really one huge advantage that people take for granted. Whereas you get Diamonds and Hiltons and the mainstream branded resorts owned by publicly traded companies that usually have developer-owned board seats, for lack of a better term. You can call it whatever you want, but the people on the board, certain people on the board are they work for Marriott, whether they want to say it or not, or whether they claim to be owners, but they are there to represent the interests of the developer, not so much the interests of the owners. And you don't really see that in independent resorts when you have a group of owners that are all volunteering to manage the funds and to manage the repairs. And they own there too, so they have a vested interest in making sure that frivolous things aren't spent willy-nilly. But if I've always said that there's no really bad boards, but there are bad board members. And so you tend to find much more friction between owners and boards when you have, 1, 2, 3, or even a majority of the board that is basically put there by the developer themselves versus, an actual owner at the resort who has a vested interest in seeing how the way things are done and maintaining that resort for the benefit of the owners versus the benefit of the developer. Moving on to everyone's favorite topic, man. This seems to never go away, and I really don't expect it to go away, is deedbacks. We continue to see exit companies and cancellation companies just run rampant through this industry, and it's almost like wildfire. I don't see this stopping anytime soon until the industry truly adopts a more universal solution for owners who want out of their timeshare. And I start to, you just kind of see inklings of it and wisps of smoke forming at many of the resorts. Like Capital Resorts is a great example where they're starting to adopt the exit company model. They can't ignore it. They know it exists, to seeing how some of these exit companies can charge $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to quote unquote get someone out of their timeshare, when in actuality all they're doing is encouraging default, if not outright, suggesting default. So for the owner to stop paying. And so, you see Capital Resorts now implementing a multiple of the maintenance fees, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 years. So, you're essentially charging that owner $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to end their ownership, just to give it back to capital. And while that seems awful, and I don't disagree, when the amounts are that high for a developer run program, when you're just giving back what they sold you in the first place for them just to resell again, at face value, it sucks. It's terrible. But looking at the other option where, previously, like Exploria, for example, just tells the owner, sorry, we don't have any way to help you. Best of luck. I hope you enjoy trying to get rid of your timeshare yourself, which for lack of a better term, just drives them right to the exit companies that they hear on the radio or see on TV, because, you can't sell it. You can't give it away in most cases, or it's extremely difficult to give away, especially if you don't know you need to offer to pay for closing, or you need to offer to pay for next year's maintenance fees. So they're driving companies that don't offer any sort of solution are feeding the exit industry. And this is something that has happened for years. And I keep saying it. I sound like a broken record at this point. I can't believe that every major resort system doesn't adopt. I don't care if it's a ridiculously high cost model like Capital Resorts has chosen to do, to offer something. Offering nothing just hurts them, and it hurts the owner, and it makes their experience terrible. We see everything under the sun at this point, where you got something like Wyndham, where it's free to give back, and you see Holiday Inn Club, where it used to be free, and now it's $1,200 or $1,500, and Diamond Resort started at $250, and now it's up to $1,250 or $1,500, and Westgate's now moving more towards the higher level, and the $1,500 to $2,000 range. Bluegreen was, someone mentioned that they started taking Bluegreen timeshares back, but now they charge 2 or 3 times the annual maintenance fees. I fully expect that model to be adopted by the industry. I don't know what's taking so long. I don't know why the industry is so hesitant to just flat out say that, hey, we have an exit solution for your owners. You want out, call us first. Even if you give them an unpalatable solution, it is very, very clear that there are owners willing to pay ridiculous amounts of money to get out of their timeshare. And so I don't begrudge the developers from adopting that model. I just don't understand why they don't do it immediately. They don't need to charge what the exit companies do, but you charge something, or make it negotiable, or even deal with it on a case-by-case basis. I mentioned in our conversation, the last video we did with Jason Gamble of Arda, that make it prorated. You've been a member for 5 years, you get this is what it costs to get out. You've been a member for 10 years. This is what, after you've been a member for 15 or 20 years, it's free to give back. The things like that seem to would do nothing but bolster the industry and prevent the issues that we're having now, where people are genuinely scared of owning a timeshare, or what are they going to do when they die, or what are they going to do when it's time to be out of it? No one ever thinks about that when they buy, but you have 30 years of owners that have bought into this, that now it's time to sell. Now it's time to exit. Now it's time to give back. And all of these people, not all of them, but a huge percentage of them, feel that their only solution is to deal with an exit company. And that's just a really, really crappy situation that the industry is in right now. And for me, it's still the number one issue of the industry today is a non-legitimized, a non-standardized, I guess is a better term, exit program for at least the major timeshare systems. And there's no excuse for it. I'm sure they have an excuse for it, but again, as I mentioned to Jason, and he mentioned that there are reasons that why individual resorts don't have that, but there's no reason that they haven't been able to address it for 5 years or 10 years. These aren't new problems, and the fact that they've just continued to kick the can down the road for this long, it's my pet peeve, and it's something I'm going to continue to champion as long as I'm around. I know Jason is tired of hearing from me when every time we talk, that's what I bring up is the top priority. So maybe it'll eventually get in someone else's ear, and we'll start seeing more of those. And unfortunately, if those are systems that are asking for multiples of maintenance fees, that's not going to sit well with many owners, but it's better than exit companies. And if at the end of the day, you don't find that palatable and you can't find someone to take it off your hands, stopping payment is still the only 100% guaranteed solution to exit out of your timeshare. And I really hate the fact that I give that advice so often now. It is very, very frustrating that the industry is in that situation now. But as I tell people, you got a series of bad options, and sometimes defaulting is the best of those bad options. And it's something that each person needs to deal with for themselves and figure out which of those bad options is the best one for them. And so to close out, since we're talking about deedbacks and getting ready your timeshare, I will say that I was super, super happy to see that the marketplace ticked over 46 million, I think. Was that 46 million in successful timeshare resales, which is, some companies advertise higher numbers than that. However, I will say that the vast majority of timeshares on TUG sell for way less money than many of the other brokers. Some of the other brokers that specialize in high dollar sales, when you're selling even resales for thousands of dollars. I think the average resale on TUG probably sells for less than $1,000. I'll have to go back and do the math on total resales versus that $46 million total. But it's still an absolutely incredible number that people, are able to sell their timeshare themselves without being scammed, without paying upfront fees, not paying large upfront fees. For $15, you get a 1-year membership to list your timeshare in the marketplace, and you have a really, really good shot at finding a new owner for your timeshare if you follow the advice that we provide in the How to Sell guide. But again, $46 million on an owner-run, an owner-managed site that doesn't have any commissions, that allows people to post their timeshares and not involved in the transaction is a truly remarkable number. And we're closing in on 72 million total when you include the rental side. Again, TUG is here to stay. TUG proves year in and year out that you can sell and rent your timeshare yourself without being scammed, without having to pay some other company a ridiculous amount of money to do that. It is possible, and we hope that continues, and we're super proud of these numbers and the fact that they continue. That we're still selling millions of dollars every year in timeshares. Owners are. We're not. TUG isn't a broker, so we're not actually selling them, but owners come on our site, list their timeshares, and get them successfully, find new homes for their timeshares every single day on TUG. It's an amazing thing. And if you're looking to sell or rent your timeshare, come on over to TUG. If you don't want to join our site, that's fine. You want to use our marketplace, but the advice articles we provide on how to sell and how to rent will always be free and open to the public, and hopefully help you from being scammed. Because I will say that in this day and age, if you're looking to sell your timeshare today, the chances of you being approached by and or actually scammed by someone are extremely high. I hate to say that, but that is the cold reality of the industry today. So that's pretty much all I got. Those are all my topics. In the 45 minutes, I managed to ramble on. So for those of you that stayed on this long, I'm humbled. I certainly appreciate it. Sorry that I screwed up the original thing. I don't know what happened with that video. I do like the StreamYard thing. I'll continue to play with it. Got to figure out how to get it set up so that I can post a link to it somewhere. I had to literally look at it myself and then copy the link. So I'm sure I'm just dumb and haven't figured it out yet. So, but things will get better. I'm glad that people on Facebook were able to see us. I'm glad that people on YouTube were able to see us. And again, I'll try and have these once a month so that I'll schedule them ahead of time. We'll try and pick like the second or the third Sunday of the month or something like that. Provided Laura, thank you so much. I truly appreciate those of you that stuck with me this long. These will continue to get better. I don't claim to be a YouTube expert or a streaming expert, but I just enjoy talking to people, and I enjoy helping people with their timeshares. And I do it all day, every day. We've done it for the past 18 years, and we'll absolutely probably do it for 18 more. Because say you never work a day in your life if you love what you do. And this is something that I can sleep comfortably at night knowing that every day I help people, get the information and advice that they need. And also the TUG community does that as well. And it's truly a unique place that I'm very, very proud of what my father started and what I'm able to continue to do. So I'm gonna see who's left on. Does it let me show who is left? I know Laura's here. Anybody else on? I'm gonna give out some memberships here. So I'm gonna put Laura in there. Anyone else want to type? I'll give anybody online. If you fall asleep, you don't get a bonus membership. So type in the chat. Those of you left on, and I will give you a free membership. Thanks for putting up with me. Diana Roy. Okay, fantastic. So that's 2. Anybody else? The third person, they may have fallen asleep. So I apologize. My super sweet silky voice probably, which usually maybe I'll do that from now on. Maybe I'll provide provide, like the YouTube videos where I just talk and immediately put people to sleep. So again, thank you so much, Laura. Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you so much, Roy. Thank you so much for everyone else who tuned in. I will, no problem. Actually, do me a favor. Can both of you, Diane and Laura, email me? I'm sure I could probably find you, but Graham's a pretty common name. And so email me at tugadmin@tug2.net. And it'd be much easier for me to find your membership to add an extra year for you guys. But again, thank you so much. I'm truly humbled that you guys sat here and listened to me, and I will continue to try and make these better. And one day I'm going to figure out how to get it all in line where I don't have to restart the stream and screw everything up. So thank you guys so much for joining me this Sunday. I appreciate it tremendously. And I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful week on vacation. For those of you still on vacation, I hope you enjoy a great vacation and have a safe travel home. So you guys have a wonderful evening. Good night.